Hi everybody, and whatever. Hi. I never know how to start with it. It sounds so fake, but oh, hi everybody, my imaginary listeners that I do not have. My name is Tom. I'm a designer, and a random fact about me is that I was born with one kidney.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mario. I'm the developer, and a random fact about me is that I can play blindfold chess, a single game, but poorly.
Cool. You said you're a developer. I did not say I'm a designer, but given the title of the podcast, I'm kind of hoping people will figure it out. But yeah, so the topic we're going to talk about today is the myth that designers and developers hate each other. And how about you start with why is that the case?
So I've worked with teams where developers were like, "Oh my God, those designers! I hate them so much." And I was actually part of those teams. But the question is, where does that come from? And is it a myth or is it a fact? And if it's a fact, should it be a fact or not? But basically, in in some of the teams that I used to work with, there were situations where developers would tell you, do this. They wouldn't consult the development team. The designers wouldn't ask the development team. Designers didn't know anything about development. They would tell you, do this. And you would get a really, really beautiful design full of curved lines and nice gradients in different directions and beautiful things that really looked great in the PSD that they delivered, except it took 7 months for us to develop them. So that is primarily the reason why developers hate designers, because A, designers go out on there are cases when designers go out on their own and do stuff and say, okay, now deliver this. And B, designers sometimes don't think about how something is doable. Is something doable, and is it going to be affordable, or is it going to cost an arm and a leg? I think that's where the part from the myth about developers hating designers comes from. How about the other
Yeah,
side?
that's no, it's true. And as you were as you were saying this, I was thinking like, yeah, that's all true, and thinking how it got to be very different based on experience of years of working on this. But when I started out, it was the same thing where I would be doing something to look amazing, blah blah blah, and then I would talk to my developer, and he would be like, "Oh, dude, like this is cool, but it's gonna take months to do this." And I was lucky enough that early in my career, I had a really great partner, and we worked on some stuff together. And he taught me how to what we can sacrifice in order to do almost the same thing within a shorter time because we were running our own company. So we're gonna get paid earlier. So that was the motivation to sacrifice some of the nice animated bullshit so we can get to a point where we actually issue an invoice. And it was a learning experience. But when I was working in an agency before that, and I was hired as a designer, I was working on design and never got in touch with developers. It took a while to figure this out. So the thing is, developers want to do their job well and quickly and don't understand the value of what is some of the bullshit designers do. And I get that. And the thing is, some of the designs that you can see out there, even today, it's very nice. You can print it out, stick it onto your fridge. It's amazing, but it doesn't work in the real world. And if anybody actually opens their phone, starts any app, there's no bullshit animations that you will see on Dribble or Behance or any of those websites. So you can see them. People will master the tools like Figma and say like, "Oh man, look at what I can do! I'm amazing! I do all of these cool animations." But when you get to real world where you actually get to do stuff, you don't do that because you want to solve a problem for your user or your customer. You don't want to do bullshit that tickles your balls and your designer friends. I would know. So unfortunately, it is what it is. And then when you see some real animation in real world, people are like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! They actually got to do that." Yes, because it happens once in a blue moon with paying customers. So yeah,
Now you reminded me when I started learning to code, and this was way back in primary school, like sixth or seventh grade. We used to do desktop applications we used to code small desktop software in Visual Basic 3.0 under Windows 3.11. Yes, I am that old. And then we would have the initial form that would start up, slowly load the image logo, and then slowly unload it. And it did have absolutely no purpose. It was our pet project. There was no brand to advertise or anything. We just, all the other softwares had like, when you start it, it has a logo for loading and then unloading. And we spent a bunch of time learning how to do that, how to learn a thread, sleep, how not to allow you to close that form and so on. So it was really a learning experience to learn to build something completely useless.
And once you learned it, what was the biggest use for that knowledge later on?
That particular knowledge, I mean,
Yes.
you learn threads, you learn some technology. I mean, every stupid thing you want to try out when trying out either a new technology or a new concept or a new pattern, you try it on the most stupidest possible example, then it works, but then you know it to apply it onto real life problems.
And you know how much time it takes to actually do it.
And you know how much time, you know more, yeah, you know the rough amount of effort and complexity. That's actually something I haven't thought about.
Good. So when oh, I don't want to turn this into an interview. It kind of I automatically go in that direction. Like now I'm interviewing you, but I'm not. But I want to hear from your real life example where you think that designer hated you and vice versa, and how did you overcome that? Since that's the topic, I want to hear about that, and then I'll give my example.
Okay, that's a good one. So the best example I can think of is I wanted in around 2015, give or take 15, 16, I can't remember. I wanted to build a software called the Skibook. The Skibook would be um kind of a social network, kind of a place that allows you to quickly and easily book your ski trips. I always had a problem where I would call my friends, hey, want to go skiing this weekend? Who's going? Where are we going to go? What's the weather out like there? How are we going to get there? How much does it cost? Where are we going to book? Who's going to bring what? I don't know. When are we going to start? 6 a.m. is too early, and so on and so on. So this was a huge, huge pain in the ass. And I wanted to actually make a software where I could say, okay, this week we are going skiing to Nussfeld. We have a car. The car fits 5 people. Automatically, it says that the cost from Zagreb to Nussfeld is, I don't know, whatever. The ski pass in Nussfeld costs 28 euro per day. The accommodation would cost us here, and we can book with some affiliate links. And the whole cost is going to be this much. Send out to all my friends. They receive an invite and can just click yes, no. And we built the thing. Nobody ever actually ended up using it because it turns out that actually people like planning trips and people like discussions like where are we going to go and what time are we going to, and people don't want to avoid them. That's part of the whole experience, which I still don't get to today's date, but apparently I had to learn the hard way. And basically we built a homepage for that. The slogan, the tagline was share the slopes, lose the hassle. And we worked with a talented designer that was relatively new to the software design, but she was great at graphical design. So she ended up delivering a design. The design was really nice and it was really beautiful. And I would love to post it up on my fridge, like you said. But then when we started delivering it, so it had a really cool thing. It had like an italic font saying share the slopes, lose the hassle. And then the P from the slopes ended up continuing into the L of the hassle. Okay, so here, share the slopes, lose the hassle. It was a great idea. It was a great design gimmick. It looked really nice. And it had 2 triangles in top right and bottom left corner that kind of symbolized the way a ski slices over the slope and leaves that. And it was really cool and it was really cute and it really worked and it looked amazing. Except for Basic facts. A, making a triangle in HTML and CSS is a pain. It's easy once you know how to do it, and it's easy once you learn how to do it. But it's a pain. HTML elements are not meant to be triangle. They're meant to be squares, unfortunately. The next thing is uh, if you make like a really nice top top right triangle element, and it is in the top right corner. Once you get it on all sorts of devices like mobile phones, tablets, I don't know, horizontal, vertical, whatever, it doesn't work as well. It needs to scale somehow, mathematically, depending on the size of the screen, which again is a pain. And then we come to the getting the P and the L of the slopes and hassle into one line on multiple screen sizes and multiple devices. We ended up doing it, and it worked. But the amount of time spent on that versus the amount of time spent on delivering the actual features inside the application, like a real-time chat application using SignalR in .NET or whatnot, was ah, like, what did you do today? I was trying to align the P and the L. Woohoo! Very constructive. I love my life. By the
Okay,
way,
why
I'm
didn't
still
you?
in touch with that designer, and I know that she learned a lot through that project, through future projects, and I know that now she's an amazing designer. So sorry if I'm pulling up old wounds and everything.
Yeah, but what is? Why didn't you? Uh, Now I know that hindsight is always 2020, but why didn't you just use the images and be done with it? Why did you force the HTML and CSS elements for that thing?
So two reasons: A, we wanted to learn. B, if you put images regarding the triangles, you again have the same problem. You have to put them, you have to align them with CSS in top and lower corners. You have to do it. And if you put images, then it scales them. Then if you put it on percentage, then you don't get the same tilt each time.
The same angle.
So if you have like a really wide, yeah, you want to have the same angle of the cut. And if you put it on a really wide screen and just use the image, then the angle is going to switch if you do. So we wanted to keep the same angle, but make it look nice on responsive. And it's kind of got horrible. And regarding the main title, we didn't want to use the image, not to lose the juice from the SEO, because we got so much juice and so much traffic from that SEO that it was like, ugh, we really need that to be text.
So if you were doing the same project with the same design today, how long would it take you to go from oh this is nice to fuck off this is bullshit?
Zero. Zero, but this is because, yeah. So, I mean, at that time, the designer we worked with didn't know better, and we didn't know better as developers, and we had no budget to hire like the top tier designer that would come instantly and tell us, you know, don't do that. We hired a rookie because we could afford, and it all worked out. So in the end, we got the MVP out. And it's not that design nor that time spent that broke the MVP. The fact that it broke the MVP was that there was no product market fit and that we didn't put enough time or budget into advertising and that we didn't know what it means to actually build a product. But that's regardless. I mean, this is just an example where we ended up not even hating the designer, but like wondering why the hell are we doing this? Couldn't this be more simple? And it should. And now,
Yes.
when I have several more years of experience under my belt, I know that it can be. And I've worked with developers that also know it can be. So now it's much easier. But at the time, it was like, wow.
You're being very gracious by saying several, but yeah, we kind of went
I'm
from
trying to think of myself as young.
yes, well, we are. We kind of went from designers and developers hate each other because they don't understand each other into we actually didn't understand how the industry works, how the product works, how everything works, and this is what you know. This is where you lose time, basically. So you stick to what you know instead of doing the things that need to be done. And yeah, that's true. But yeah,
But
that's
this is true, and this is, I mean,
so
unavoidable.
it's unavoidable. But like you said, you didn't have budget to hire someone with more experience, and then you find yourself in a situation where you need to be reworking through things that were delivered by a person who has less experience. And just recently, I was doing a mentoring session for a person doing a product management within a startup. And they are a startup, they are bootstrapping, they don't have a lot of budget. And one of his problems was they have this really junior designer that was on a project and still is on a project for 6 months now. But the thing is, the person doesn't have that much experience. And now they are faced with, we want to build this, but we want to also change the design. But we, in doing so, want to give feedback in a way that does not drive away the person that is on a project, understands the project, and is not breaking the bank. So we want this person to stay. We want to give the feedback that we want this done in a different way, using some of the other approaches, but also not to be very harsh, to be mindful of the feelings and da da da. So it's kind of learning how to manage the person and also learning to manage the asset and also learning to convey the message across the board. So this is kind of the problem where we know what it needs to be done, but and they know the design is not perfect, but they don't know how to convey the message that it's not. So what do we tell that person? What do we want, and how do we communicate that so it's in a positive manner?
A very theoretical answer to that, in my opinion, is uh, to provide to that person honest feedback with good arguments. If you're okay doing that, then that person has good basis to A, fix it, and B, learn from it. And if that person takes those suggestions and arguments as insults and kind of gets offended, gets their nose up and doesn't want to work with you anymore, do you even want to work with a person that cannot take feedback and improve on their deliverables or not? But I think that's a
Absolutely, yeah.
topic. That's a completely topic of its own, and hopefully, you and I are going to have a lot of these conversations filmed, and at one time it will probably turn up as an actual topic. But from
Absolutely.
this moment, why did you hate working with developers, and what's your experience of where you really wanted to kill a developer that maimed your design or something?
But the thing is, I didn't. I was frustrated by not getting actual understanding of why something is difficult. So I would send in a design or whatever, and I would just get, we can't do this. This is not possible, or da da da. And all the while I was attending meetups and listening. We developers are the most amazing people in the universe, and we can do whatever we want with code. Code is the future. Matrix has you, Neo. It's like we are the shit. But then you're telling me we cannot do this. So which one is it? Are you the shit, or you can't do this? And then once I met some more senior people who had a broader understanding of not just development but also design and business and product and so on, I learned yes, we can do it, but we need to sacrifice resources, time, stuff like that that did not go into my consideration as a junior designer, because I wanted to do this looks cool. That's it. That was my metric. Does this look cool? If yes, then send it over. And then these people would get this, like, we get what you're trying to do, but a lot of these things is just fluff and bullshit, and we don't need this. And I would be like, yes, we need it because it won't be cool. But then, what is the success metric of cool? I don't know. The success metric of cool is people go around and talk about your product, I would say. But now, I didn't know that back then. Now I know. So I can, how do you measure cool? Well, you go around and ask people, have you used my cool shit? And then people say, no, who are you? Why are you bothering me while I'm drinking coffee in Starbucks? So, yeah.
A friend of mine was working in a company, and they delivered a product for the client. Back then, Microsoft Silverlight, so this was again ages ago. Back then, Microsoft Silverlight was still a thing, and Microsoft Silverlight allow you to put, I don't know, animations and sounds and menus. So if you had like a file menu, you would click and it would do.
Yeah, I remember that.
So they came to the company and they wanted to do a presentation of the final product. And the guy said, "Sure, can I try it?" And they said, "Yeah." And he clicked the file menu and it did. He was like, And for the next 7 minutes, he was just opening and closing the file menu.
The future is now.
Yeah. So apparently there is some. I don't know how to quantify this, but there is some value in being cool.
No, I think it is. And if we are talking about all technologies, I started one of my first designs ever for website, and I'm using the term design very loosely here because I wouldn't call it now that, but it was I was still in high school or just at the end of high school, and the Flash was a thing, so everybody was using Flash. And if you can remember, Flash, everything was animated, everything had a sound, everything was doing the thing. So I thought the more sounds and more animations and more things equals better website. So and then Flash kind of became the big no in the industry. We are not using Flash. We are using HTML, and the CSS became a thing. And I just finished learning Flash. So I just learned Flash, and now you want me to learn this CSS thing? I don't want to be a developer. Why are you making me learn this bullshit? So I was forcing Flash for a while, and then kind of got with the program, started doing the thing, learned from scratch, and still tried to force that. Uh, Feeling of this is cool, this is animated into HTML and CSS poorly, and then it just didn't produce results. Trying to push in sounds and stuff, and I had these great ideas of how I wanted the websites to look, and it took like 15 years to get where we are now to actually do those things. But back then, it was all about W3 standards and and whatever, what Google tells you to do in order to be indexed on site, blah, whatever. And I remember being on a forum where I ask how to do the thing because I know it can be done. You know that you could map certain polygons with HTML and CSS and then make them actually like clickable. So you can create like a polygon map and then make it clickable. So back then I was still doing front end work, and I asked the question of forum, like, how can I do this? Because I wanted to have like an interactive map of things, and that was before everything was responsive. And one of the guys told me that, oh, like, I will not answer your question because this is not up to standard. And I said, I don't give a shit about you and your standards. I want to do the thing. I want to learn how to do this thing. And he said, well, if you don't give a shit about me and my standards, then I'm just going to remove you from my forum. And I got banned for it. And I was pissed at that guy for years. For years. Little did I know that I would befriend him years later and understand his point of view. But he was older, more experienced. He just didn't want to deal with this young guy's cocky attitude and bullshit. And I completely understand that. But at that point, I was like, oh, he doesn't know. I'm being progressive. I'm forward thinking, and he's stuck in his ways. And a lot of ego back then. A lot of ego back then. But yeah.
Can I just butt in to say one thing?
Yeah, of course.
Can I just
This is why we are here. You don't have to ask.
I think we need. No. I think just to take this completely off topic, I think we need to rename this podcast because the examples we're giving are from 2015, from Silverlight, from Flash. We need to call this like ancient designer and ancient developer drinking coffee or something like that. This is like,
well,
you know,
if I'm being
people
honest,
won't
you brought up the
understand.
subject. Yeah, you brought up the subject, but I'm just going to blame you.
I'm not
just
saying.
Blame you. Yeah, you're leaning into this thing.
Okay,
I'm
gonna
old.
be blamed.
Yeah. You're leaning into this thing. I'm old. I don't feel old. I'm like, dude, I'm 24. I'm 24. Like at least maybe 26. So yeah.
You know what is
Plus
good
minus
thing?
VAT.
The good thing is that actually Tom and I share the birthday. So if he's 26, then I'm 26.
Yeah, that's true. No, okay. Getting back on topic, let's wrap this up because I want to hear what would be your takeaway from this for both designers and developers going forward. So if somebody actually managed to listen to this point, and if you're listening and you're now thinking like, oh my god, these assholes, and if you're actually here, please tweet or TikTok or whatever something. Tag me somewhere and tell me I've actually listened to this part. I'm first person who does this who's listening to this. I'm going to give you an ebook that I have as a present. I have a couple to give away. Just tell me that you got to this point, and now Mario can tell me what his takeaway is.
I don't have an ebook, but I will give you a virtual hug. Um, so the thing from a developer point of view, I used to go to computer science university, and I actually completed it. Woohoo! And we were sort of taught that we are God's given gift to technology. We were sort of taught that we will drive the future forward. We will move everything. Everything needs to be developed around software engineers, or we are you know the best thing since bread came sliced. And then you start actually working in a company that delivers a product, and you learn that okay, you are a developer. You are going to be one that's going to build it. But, and especially for me as a developer, building it is the quote unquote simplest thing to do because A, I know how to do it, B, it's completely under my control, and C, it's something I have experience with. I've been doing it all my life. It's a given input set of parameters, and you need to have a given output set of parameters. What they didn't teach us at our school, and what I think you need experience to learn from real life, and I don't think there's a school that can actually teach you this, you have to get your hands dirty, is that a software or a product or a company is not the built product. It's the product combined with sales, combined with marketing, combined with design, combined with user testing, combined with user experience, combined with support, combined with maintenance. Software development is a small part of it. And as much as I like, feeling cool because I'm a software developer and I know stuff and I know what, I don't know, inheritance classes are and what the table per type model in Entity Framework is, woohoo, nobody cares. They care about the whole package. And in that whole package, the software development is just a part of it. So from my perspective, it is very important that developers get the understanding that it's more than just their coding to get a product done, and to learn why other teams are doing what they are doing, how they are doing. And I'm a loudmouth and I'm nosy and I am interested in a lot of stuff. So wherever I work, I try to learn what other people are doing, how they are doing it, understand what what the key values they bring in are, what the key minuses their positions have are, and so on, just so I can put my work as a piece of a puzzle in a greater, you know, of
Greater
a greater piece
whole.
and greater whole. I wasn't sure that was a phrase, but
Let's say that it is.
and
We're
I
gonna
think
say that it's yeah.
let's say that it is okay. And I think that this is something that developers need to do. So if you get a design that has, I don't know, curvy lines and things that have to continue onto each other from one div to the other, and things that have to fly in, and things with animations, your first gut reaction needs to be, okay, this is extremely difficult. But your second reaction doesn't have to be, let's go back to the designer and tell him that he's an ass and that we're not going to do this. It has to be to ask why. And then there needs to be a communication between all of the teams that mentioned above, where the developers are entitled and obligated to say, okay, guys, this is difficult. We are going to spend 10 times the amount of time on developing this as we would if we were developing, if this div didn't have the continuation with this curvy line. And then the designer can say, well, this curvy line represents the flexibility of a lifetime, whatever you artsy guys think about when you do your designs. And then there needs to be like a budget team and a marketing team that says, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. And I don't know, if you're a small startup delivering an MVP, then you want something that is quickly built and easily maintained. If you are a luxury brand, like if you're Louis Vuitton or if you are, I don't know, Yves Saint Laurent or something, then you do want to have your website be absolutely pretty and visually effective. And then all those design things that make it beautiful and that make it breathe and that make it airy and spacious and all of those nice adjectives that people can use. they make sense. But then your website costs like it's a website of Louis Vuitton or like it's a website of Yves Saint Laurent. If you want to get something cost effective, then make your design practical. One thing that I've actually learned, Tom and I have been friends for a while, and one thing that I've actually learned from you is that the design is not the art of something being beautiful. Design is the art of something being functional and practical. And this is something I've quoted you on this a lot. So thank you very much, dear
Ah,
sir. And I think the
just got goosebumps.
communication and the level of expectations between the two need to be communicated not only across design teams and developers teams, but across all of the teams in the company. And once you have this communication in place, once people understand why the designer has made something that they've made and why the developer has to build it or cannot build it, I think that's where some compromises are made, B, some explanations are made, but C, and the most important, all frustration is cleared away.
Yes, to that last point, I 100% agree. And this is something I wanted to bring up. But first of all, I want to say thank you for this because I have no idea how much of the things that I'm constantly yapping about people actually remember and then put to practice. So this is great to hear that something stuck. Uh, but yeah, if
One
you are a
sentence.
designer, yeah, one sentence at least. Hey, it's something. It's something. But here's the thing: if you are a designer who does not understand the resources it takes to build something that you designed, then you do not fit well in the whole product team, right? So the whole idea is that every designer needs to be aware not just how he affects the developer, but like you said, how it affects the sales, the marketing, the thing. And it all needs to come in unison together, so you know that you are solving problems not just for your customers, but also for your developers and everybody else in all of the other teams. And this is the difference between a good and a bad designer, because once you understand how you affect the larger organizations, then you can make sure that product moves forward, that customers get what they want, that the business wants the bottom line to be bigger. That's it. So this is what you're doing. You're making the business bottom line bigger, customers happy, and everybody else you work with, you make their life easier. And that's what you do as a designer.
I was
Yeah.
actually way back. I was trying to start some of my own products, and I was talking to, as life goes, I was talking to a few designers. I think you were included as well. But one of the ones that resonated with me, I spoke to Marko Dugonic over a coffee at one time, and we were talking
Uh,
about design and potential design from my.
Marko Dugonic
Go
was
ahead.
the guy that banned me from the forum. He was the guy that.
Marko Dugonic is awesome, and by the way, if he's listening to this, shout out to Marko. He's doing
I'm
amazing
sure he's
things.
going to be listening,
But
and I
basically, he
want to
told
say that
me.
I wouldn't be here as a designer if he didn't point me in the right direction. So, but I told him this numerous times, and I wrote about this, so he knows this.
So anyway, he and I were in a coffee, and then we kind of were talking about designs and everything. And he gave me advice. He said, like, but you can learn a lot about design quickly. And I was like, what do you mean? I mean, I cannot tell, blue from yellow. And he was like, you don't have to tell blue from yellow. Design has a set of rules, and if you follow these rules, you're gonna get to a decent, sterile, tidy, and clean design. And after you get there, by following the rules, then it's a matter of talent and vision and understanding to get it to the top. But if you follow the basic rules of design, you can get to a really nice place really quickly. And he gave me like just Google font types, Google, which fonts are used for which types of application. And then it tells you for this type of application, you are talking to a business audience, you're going to use these types of fonts. For this type of applications, you are talking to younger individuals, they want more lively things, you're going to use this. He told me to learn about vertical rhythm. Your headings are going to be the same. They're going to have the padding that is in sort of ratio with everything, so that when you look and when you read, that it looks naturally. And if it looks naturally, your part is that whether it's going to be beautiful or not is less important. But people can read it, people can use it, people can quickly find information. That's the beauty of design, and that goes with the sentence you mentioned: the design has to be practical. So, and I think every developer should spend 10 hours of their life, not necessarily more than 10 hours, but 10 hours of their life to get basic concepts of UX, basic concepts of UI, not to learn how to do them, but to understand that they exist. Because when they understand that it exists, they will get a better understanding of why the designers do whatever it is they do, B, why the designers cost as much as they cost, and C, even how to do, all of us developers have our own pet projects, how to make those a little bit better. And it's not necessarily a large investment to make. It's like 10 hours of your life that can really make a difference. So I strongly advise it. There's a lot of online resources. You will know probably resources much better than I do. So feel free to share some. But that was very important from my end. And also, I don't know if this is something that you have to say or should I, but I think the designers should do the same. I don't think a designer can be a designer without understanding the basics of how a developer is going to implement what they do.
Absolutely.
So if we are using, I don't know, bootstrap grid system on a project, then a designer must know what a bootstrap grid system is. And a designer must know that he can have 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, or 6 columns. He cannot have 5 because the grid system isn't built for 5. And in order for you to build 5, you have to spend development time to understand how it works and how to scale it on different screen sizes and all of that. So this is something you have to know. And there are like 5 top CSS frameworks that people use. Get acquainted with those. Get acquainted with generics of HTML, generics of how to fit something somewhere and things like that. The power of CSS, what animations are simple to do with CSS, what animations are brutally complex and need to be done with JavaScript. This is something that, again, takes 10 to 20 hours of basic research, but will get your own mind to censor you if you start doing something that you don't have an idea how it could be developed. And I think that will help designers come up with more practical designs for the developers to build. So I think that even though it's not our world, we need to scratch just the surface of it to understand where the input comes from. And likewise, even if development is not your world, you have to scratch the surface of it so you can know what type of output you can throw out
there. I agree 100%, and it helped me a lot that I came from front end and CSS and HTML into design. I was doing graphic design before, but when we were talking about web and apps and digital products, it was 100% useful. And I understand that there needs to be like a division in universities and formal education. Like, this is where we are building designers and this is where we are building developers. And I kind of get that. But if people spend, like you said, 10, 20, 30, even 100 hours in learning what the flip side of the same coin is, they're going to become the person who is more valuable to the company or to a customer. And then you will be worth more, which means you're going to charge more, which means you're going to earn more. And this is what it comes down to, because if you are aware of everything that's going on within the whole ecosystem of software development, you bring value for the speed equals money. So that's what you're doing. You're making product go to market faster, and business people will value that, and they're going to pay you more. And on that note, I'm going to say I think this was a great first episode. I'm going to wrap it up with this, and hopefully we're going to have at least 100 more, I'm going to say.
Or 7.
Or 7, but closer to 100 into a 7.
Let's start with 7. 7 is a beautiful number.
Okay, 700 episodes. Done. 700 episodes is okay.
700 episodes.
But I love doing this with you, and I'm really happy that we are doing this now. I'm going to use air quotes here, formally, and that we're going to be sharing our whatever we talk about with the world, and hopefully we have at least one lonely soul listener who will really enjoy and have fun value in what we have to say. If more happens, great. If not, also great. Doesn't matter. I'm having fun with you, Mario, and I really love that we're doing this.
Yep. Hopefully, there's going to be
Right.
plenty more.
Okay, whoever listened, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. All of the things that people say, like click the thing and subscribe to the thing and the bells, and I don't give a shit. Anyway, thank you. Peace. Cool. Okay.
Bye bye.